Tool talk. So I am a rope lady, a rope girl. I personally just use the rope. But let's run through some tools that can be more effective in our groundwork and why we're going to use them and when we could use them. So with weanlings, yearlings, I like a 9-foot rope with this. This does not have a spanker on. We'll get to what that means in a minute. So 9-foot rope's fine with me. Slide my hand up and down it. I can wield it if I need to. Okay, to keep them out of my space, whatever. So I can use this 9-foot rope, wield them and keep close to them. Let's go on to a 12-foot rope. So we're on to the 12-foot rope. 12-foot rope, very similar to that 9-foot. The only difference between this, obviously it's got 3 more foot to it and it's got a spanker. I personally like to have a spanker just because you never know when you're going to need it. And I don't want to be using that rope on a horse I don't know that could be running over me, and I don't have that as a backup. So 12-foot rope can be a little bit messy if you're not used to using a longer rope. That's why I don't tend to use it on the baby horses, because I like to keep them close to me. On a 12-foot rope, if you're not used to handling it, then it just can get in the way and you can tread on it, they can tread on it, and there's just a lot of rope to manage, and people, you know, just struggle with that. So I tend to tell people to buy a 9-foot rope if they're not using a long rope. But for me, when I go out onto problem horses lessons, I like a 12-foot rope with a spanker, mainly because then I can wield it and keep them out of my space without them coming on top of it. Because a lot of the horses that I go to are usually going to be running all over me and trying to hurt me. So I like to defend my space with the spanker, and it's their problem if they bump into it then. But at least you've got a bit more bop than no spanker for me. So the most popular one that most people will be familiar with is the carrot stick. That's what Pirelli would call it. Clinton Hansen would call this a stick on the string, but it hasn't got the string on at the moment, which is exactly the same as a Pirelli stick, but Clinton's is white. Most of the horsemen have got something similar like this in their toolbox, but they'll call it something different, but it effectively does the same thing. For me, if I am choosing one, I like to feel it, I like to hold it, because I could be doing this all day. I want something with a little bit of weight, but not too much that I'm going to hurt my wrist using it all day, or I can't wield it right because it's too heavy, or it's unbalanced in its weight. So personally, I'd go for a carrot stick. They're more popular in this country and more easily to get your hands on, okay? But I like this because I do use the stick and string like Clinton Anderson does in his programme, where I can spank the ground and I can throw it over them as well. So I do use this quite a lot. Obviously, just to recall, I don't have the string on it at the moment, but it's just an extension of my arm, and if I did get something a bit tasty that was going to run over me, I would probably get this, just so I can defend the ground, I can defend my space a lot easier, and I've got something to get contact with them if they do go to try and run over me. So again, problem horses, I'd probably stick to that. So let's go on to the flag, the horsemanship flag. As you can see, this is a stick with a bag on it, exactly the same, has exactly the same effect. I don't tend to give people this unless they need it. I like to get them to use their body and the rope, and then if that isn't working, then we'll add an extra tool in like this. I just find that when people are learning the groundwork, possibly haven't used a longer rope before, and you give them a stick to use, it gets really messy and confusing. There's a lot of things to manage as well as doing the work we need to do with the horse. So again, I will only work with this if I need to. If the rope isn't effective, then I will go and get one of these or the carrot stick. I usually choose one of these because, especially if I've got a pushy horse, they're usually scared of this flappy noise and they get out of my space quicker. It's basically just to manage my space, my personal space, and for them not to come into it in an aggressive way if they do. But also, again, in your groundwork, as everyone should know, is that we could use this as an extension of our arm, as an extension of our body to move the horse's body parts. So I hope that was helpful in the tool department, and have a great day. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Bwenny.